Well, who says Hillary Clinton is getting a free pass with no other Democrat in the race to deflect attacks on her? It's pretty much all about her. Is that really good for her? Bob Cusack is right. No. Bob, why not?
Well, listen, Neil, I mean, she's getting hit by both the left and the right, the would-be challengers, and there are going to be some challengers on the left. Jim Webb over the weekend said voters are looking for fresh ideas, fresh approaches, i.e. not Hillary Clinton. Martin O'Malley's gone after Hillary Clinton. Bernie Sanders also starting to take the gloves off. And, of course, on the right, it's a competition of who can bash her the most. And I think for now, Rubio is winning because he called her a leader of yesterday. But she is going to get hit and hit a lot. And it's a quandary for her, Neil, because she's got to decide whether to respond to some of these attacks or act as the front runner, which she is on the Democratic side, and say, no, I'm not going to deal with that.
You know, I got to wonder, too, whether there are others who argue, as you've heard, that opponents in the race would actually, beat her up within the party. That's the last thing she needs, so better that she doesn't have any opponents, and that if they do enter the race, it would be too little, too few, too late. What do you think of that?
I tell you, in 2008, that was the worst primary battle I've ever seen, certainly between Hillary Clinton and Obama, and ended up very nicely for the Democrats. And yeah, on the Republican side, Neil, I mean, in 2012, the field was, on the Republican side, it was kind of weak. This year, this time around, Republicans are not afraid of Hillary Clinton, and that's why we're going to have, up to 24 Republican candidates.
But that can work against them as well. Talk about, only one on the Democratic side and a couple of dozen on the Republican side. There's such a thing as too many, right?
Yeah, no, that's right. Especially when you think of fundraising and money, and these guys are going to beat up each other. They're going to have to spend a lot of money defending themselves against attacks. I think it's going to be, there's no real front runner on the Republican side. Jeb Bush is not the front runner. He's among the front runners. This is going to be a topsy-turvy race. But when we get to the general election, I don't think there's going to be any shortage of Republican money to go after Hillary Clinton.
Bob, always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil.
Well, forget about worrying about an election 20 months from now. Former Republican Oklahoma Senator Tom Coburn says worry about all the $6 trillion none of these guys are talking about right now. What is that $6 trillion, Senator? What are we talking about?
Well, last year, the CBO and the Government Accounting Office, as well as Office of Management and Budget, said we ran a $480 billion deficit, but they didn't count the increase in unfunded liabilities that all the deficit programs took into account. So if you did general accepting accounting principles like Fox News has to do and any other business and any other nonprofit, what they would have recognized is $6 trillion worth of additional liabilities that our kids are going to have to pay back.
I think a lot of people hear these numbers, Senator, and kudos to you because you've been throughout your career bemoaning this, but I think it falls on deaf ears after a while. How do you wake people up to the urgency of this ticking time bomb?
Well, the markets are eventually going to recognize it. When the bid to cover ratio on 10-year bonds all of a sudden drops because the people who are purchasing our debt recognize our unfunded liabilities even though we don't, and say, hey, this is a bad deal.
Yeah, but they haven't done that, right, Senator?
No,
the argument is that we might be pathetic, but compared to the rest of the world, where we're like the tallest midget in the room, so we benefit. You say that can't go on forever.
Well, it won't go on forever. Everything continues as it does until it doesn't, and nobody can predict the future. But the point is, here's the point I'd make, Neil, is we have a Congress today run by Republicans and a Democratic president, an ideal time to fix the very key things that so many of the people in this country are really dependent on. Next year's Social Security Disability Trust Fund will be out of money. We've known that for 10 years. Nobody on the Finance Committee, other than myself when I was there, nobody on Ways and Means in the House have addressed that issue. And yet next year it's going to run out of money. And so what we do is we wait till the crisis happens, and then we put in a fix that doesn't really fix it over the long run. So the real question ought to be is how do we fix our country and make it function the way it should be? And the way to do that is an Article 5 Convention of the States, which is what I'm working on, grassroots all across the country, where the states and the citizens take back the authority that's truly theirs, and we tell the Congress and the President. That's right, and they will.
All right, that's well put. Senator, thank you very, very much.